Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. So, today we have a very special guest today. I'm Meleena from Edmonton, Canada, and we have Paulo from Canada as well. He's in Vancouver, and he's a very special guest today because he's been in the online business for almost 6 years now, and he is also a nurse by profession. So, today we are going to hear his journey and let's see what advice he has to give for all of us as entrepreneurs and also people who are looking to start an online entrepreneurship. Hi, Paulo. Good evening and welcome.
Oh, hi, Meleena. Thanks for having me. It's always fun having to be a guest and chat with other people within our community. So thanks for having me
Yeah,
today.
thank you so much. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I know you're very busy and you're also doing a profession like nursing, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and also you have a very big team and coaching and all that. So thank you for your time. So yeah, so before I just want you to introduce yourself and let our viewers know who you are and a little bit about your background and everything.
Yeah, definitely. So as Meleena said, my name is Paulo Perles. My background's Filipino. But I grew up in Calgary, Alberta. So that's my hometown. And I moved around a bit, but now I reside here in Vancouver, British Columbia. And profession-wise, that like Meleena said, I'm a nurse. I've been nursing for over 20 years now. And I've done all different types of nursing. So I've done inpatient, and I worked at Foothills Hospital in Calgary. I've worked at Vancouver General Hospitals. I've done inpatient. I've done outpatient cancer clinics as well. So I worked at Tom Beaker Cancer Center. I even and I work here at BC Cancer as well. And then I worked for a pharmaceutical company also. And so I worked for a company called Bristol Myers Squibb. So I was auditing, real time auditing for clinical trials oncology. So I was in Edmonton. I was monitoring there at the Cross Cancer Institute as well. And then I've done like in Vancouver and also, but yeah, I've done all sorts of nursing. I get bored. You can tell I get bored with with nursing professions. So I like trying different things and challenging myself. Yeah, but right now I've worked, my last contract job I did with BC Cancer was helping implement a patient electronic medical system in all of British Columbia, but it's mostly for the Vancouver British BC Cancer Center. So I was helping with that, but from a clinical trial standpoint, and now I'm back in clinical trials, just helping standardize things within my with all my nursing colleagues with all these electronic systems. So yeah, I do a lot, but you can tell like I've done all sorts of things. I've experienced many different types of nursing as well. But Meleena, out of all of it, it's I burnt out twice in that career in that profession, and that's what ultimately led me to start looking for something else, because I knew, I love nursing. I honestly do. I love what I do. I love helping, patients, love helping my colleagues, but in the end you do a lot more for others
Yeah.
to actually be able to look after yourself. And it's not only now, it's like only now, like I would say the last 3 4 years that I've been able to put my foot down and tell my employers, no, I'm done at this time. I will not work overtime. I will not put any of my emails on my work on my personal phones. But it just, yeah, up until that point I was working so much, and that's why I burnt out and started looking for a change, because I knew if I didn't change, I would continue on that cycle of just working so much, because I have such a caring heart. I want to help, and I feel bad if if patients are affected, but in the end, it really does affect you. And so I actually, just before I turned 33, I developed a rare neuromuscular disorder, and it only affects about 3% of the population. And so I basically lost any voluntary control of my head movement, um,
Oh, yeah.
which took such a toll on my body, and it happened within a matter of 8 weeks, where it got progressively worse. I woke up just about 3 weeks before my birthday, before I turned 33. I woke up with a stiff neck. All of us wake up with a stiff neck at some point in their lives, but mine just progressively got worse every couple days, to the point my head was doing this every few seconds. And every time I tried to straighten my head, or tried to feed myself, my neck would pull over to the right, but very aggressively. And then at that point, because of how aggressive that turning was, it pinched the nerve between my C5 and C6, which is the upper part of my spine. And so I lost full control of my right arm at the same time. So I was debilitated from being healthy, like going to the gym, being active, and then within a matter of 8 weeks, being bedridden where I couldn't feed myself. It was hard for me to feed myself, dress myself. My mom ended up coming to, like, she was coming to surprise, like coming to celebrate my birthday, but ended up staying several months afterwards to help me through just the rehabilitation and just trying to get myself back to
Mm-hmm.
everything. But out of all of that whole experience, like when somebody gets, when you're sick and all that stuff, people say focus on trying to get healthy and, get things back in order. But all that I kept thinking about in my mind, because at that point I just bought my first new condo downtown Vancouver. So it'd be the first time paying for a mortgage. And I was just worried about paying the bills, paying the mortgage, paying all that stuff. And I was worried about putting all that pressure on my partner at the time. And so it was just all related about money. It wasn't related about trying to get healthy, trying to put myself back, trying to get to where I was before. And I told myself I don't want to experience that again, where I'm worried about money at the lowest point in my life, where I needed to focus on my health. So yeah, that's how I started looking into things.
Yeah.
And that's where I drew the line and said that something has to change, because even though the doctor said they couldn't figure out what caused it, I knew deep down inside what caused it was the stress. Because moving in general is a stressful thing. But then prior to that, I was working with my colleague. It was just me and her, a 3 nurse workload for almost 2 years, plus overtime, working weekends. And so it was just a lot that I took on. And I think with anything, any given thing, like they say, when you have too much stress or experience a lot of it, things get switched on that you're genetically maybe dormant, but because the stressors, the environment cause something, it can turn something on that wasn't meant to be turned on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of sorry, it was like a long explanation, but that's sort of my history of why I started looking for something. And it sucks. I had to wait to experience that before I actually made a change in my life. Because if that didn't happen, I probably would have just kept working myself, experiencing maybe a third burnout, fourth burnout, fifth burnout. And it sucks. Burnout is like the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I understand it because as a mom, I was also working full time, and I was also getting burned out, like working full time. And when like immigrants like us, we don't have much help here, right?
yeah,
So, and I have two daughters. I have a family to take care, and I was really getting exhausted with like my job and my work and my kids and family.
yeah,
And at some point I think you realize that it's too much and you need to make a change in your life, and that's where this business came as a blessing for all of us, and I'm very grateful for that. So Polo, you said you have worked in the different fields in the nursing, and how did you find, like, what is that, where did you find this business all about? I know you found it like 6 years back, so
yeah.
those days, how did you find this business? How did you know about this business?
So I actually know the founders of the ones that
Oh,
created our business system program. And
mhm.
so I knew one of them a couple years even before they put this all together.
Oh, okay.
So I already developed that trust factor with that person. And so as I watched them on social media, I was just following them for about a year, and I was just seeing their slow success within the business, and then their earnings that they're getting every month. And I'm like, I just started getting more intrigued, and then somehow just my gut was just saying, like, Paulo, go look into this, because this is something that you've been trying to look for quite a while. Because even before that, I was like trying stuff on Etsy. Like I tried to open something up there. I did something with like another vacation company thing too, and that didn't work out as well. And so I just started I just started more gravitating towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I just watched the informational webinar. And I got the gist of what the business system and the program was about. But it's like with anything new, it's still a lot of it went over my head, and so I had to rewatch the information webinar a few times just to wrap my head around the
Okay.
whole process. Yeah. Because it's something that we're not taught, right? We're
Yeah,
always taught, we're just so used to being given something and being told, okay, this is what you need to do for when when you go to work. And so having to learn this whole process took a bit of time for me to wrap my head around it. But as I asked my questions, as I got into it more, I was able to understand it. And so now that I've been in it for 6 years, me being a coach, what I do is I bring a lot of my skill set from nursing, because as a nurse, a clinical trials nurse, I would consent patients to all sorts of cancer treatment trials. And so I'm in the room with patients that maybe have English as their second language or English is their first language, but
oh,
I can be in the room with them for an hour, 2 hours, trying to explain all the ins and outs of a clinical trial. And so I do the exact same thing. Use that same skill set and pass, and then I use it with this business. And I give all the information to the individual who's looking to start an online business so that they are able to do their due diligence, because we're aware of there's a lot of scams out there, and it's prevalent. And so we with our business system and model, we get a bad rep from it, from people who call us scammers, or that this is a pyramid scheme and so on. But I have to tell you guys, this is not a scam or pyramid scheme, because the products that we have in the back end, we get T4 slips, we get government slips or income tax slips from the government. And so if it was a scam, you wouldn't be able to get that sort of thing. And so
yeah.
I always tell people this is a legit business, but they can't wrap their head around how people can make 3, 4, 5 figures a month.
Yes.
That's the part where they're just like, red flags start raising. And you know what? I'm glad that red flags start raising, because then they can start asking the questions and we can provide them the answers so that they can feel comfortable moving ahead and learning more about what the system and program is about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, Paulo, if I just want to ask you something, like if there's somebody who's looking out for online business, and how would you explain a business to them, like in a very short way, like how would you explain a business model to that person?
So I had in the beginning, I had a tough time trying to explain this, but over time I've been able to come up with a short explanation. And we basically follow a franchise model system. So think of KFC, McDonald's. And so if you wanted to open up a KFC is going to say, okay, you pay us $50,000, we're going to give you the products, the marketing tools, and the training to get the business started. We do that in the online space. So we already provide you the products, the high paying commission products, so that you don't have to research and try to find products to sell. So we provide that for you. We
Yeah,
provide you the training. Our training is online, accessible 24/7, and anyone in the world can access it. It's all video based training. People as young as 18 and as old as in their 70s are using this training, because it's step by step. It's
yeah,
very easy to learn. You may have to watch the videos multiple times to learn about it, but eventually you can learn about it. Plus, in addition, we have masterminds every week, and mentors and coaches that you can ask the questions if things don't make sense. And plus, we do the marketing side. So we train you within our training system. We teach you all the marketing side, so you know how to market the business using all the major social media platforms. So we start people off on Google Ads or
mhm,
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We do Pinterest, LinkedIn. We also do TikTok as well. And in Canada, there's some free ones as well called, I think it's Kijiji. But there's other free things that you can do as well. So we teach you a lot of those skill sets of knowing how to market a business, because at some point too, a lot of those knowledge that you learn, you can apply it to other businesses as well, not just within this business model. And so that's how I explain it to them as well. And that there's no selling involved, because our system does it for you, which are the coaches on the back end. So you're just focused on the marketing side, which is what I explained, just marketing the business and how to help people start an online business. And then from there, the whole system takes over.
yeah,
Because on the back end of our system, we have the automated emails, we have the people within our community who volunteer to talk about who will talk about the information webinar to
Yeah.
people twice a week, which are live.
Yeah.
And then we have the coaches on the back end that are doing the product selling for you. So in the end, once that person who's looking into starting a business is interested in starting a business and they invest in a product, then you make a cut of it, then you make your commission.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Yeah, very very precise good explanation. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you so
Well,
much. Yeah, so you have been in this business for 6 years. You are a successful coach. You are a mentor. You have a great team. So, how this business has changed your lifestyle or your life?
yeah. So the first thing that stood out is my personal growth in this business. I was quite fearful in the beginning to be in front of the camera. I have stage fright. I had it since I was a kid, but I was able to, with this business, start getting better at being in front of the camera, doing these live interviews,
Yeah,
also hosting within our community. I was hosting before our what we call they changed the name, but it was Newbie Tuesday Masterminds for any new business owners that were starting off. So I'd be one of the hosts every so often, and then now I'm part of another sort of project where we interview a lot of our business owners who've reached major milestones. So I interview them on their journey
yeah,
to reaching certain milestones. So I'm part of that as well. So I've been able to force myself to get uncomfortable to be comfortable in a way.
yeah.
So that's one of the major things I've seen so far with the personal growth and just the mindset switch of working for myself as a business owner, because we're so programmed to work for learning to like program to work for other people that it's tough to work for somebody else. But I had an interview last week where I talked about how it was a bit different for me personally because as an oncology clinical trials nurse, we had to be very autonomous in what we do with our job. We don't have a manager telling us what we do. So I had a bit of an advantage of being able to be self-disciplined, self-taught. I rarely reached out to my coaches and mentors, but because I'm just that kind of person, but I was able to achieve a lot more of that, being able to learn more on my own and just push myself to get uncomfortable, because I find when I do that, I develop more growth within myself. And then financially, I've been able to put more money towards my savings, pay down debt. I've been able to travel more. I was able to work remotely because this business is portable and flexible. I was able to work remotely in Mexico for about 5 months. I took a
Mhm.
break from nursing, and I said because I needed a break at that time, so I took a break and worked in Mexico for about 5 months, and then I did that 2 years ago, and a year ago I did it again for a month, and then just how flexible this business is. Like even my last trip, I went through Central America, traveling from Guatemala, not by plane but by vehicle, all the way down to Costa Rica, and I was still able to run my business as long as I had my phone.
Yeah.
And so as long as you have good data connection, Wi-Fi, you can run the business. So financially, I was able to still run the business. Help new business colleagues start the business as well. I was doing coaching calls during that trip, and then I was able to take my mom on a vacation to Vegas and one of my best friends to Palm Springs for her birthday. So yeah, there's just a lot of things financially I've been able to do, and I know because you mentioned like I'm still in my nursing job, and so I'm still doing this a little bit because there's just a little bit more that I need to do to give to this nursing profession. But I'm hoping in the next year or so I'll be able to finally retire from nursing. That's my goal. It's just something in me is just saying like I still need to do a little bit more in this profession before I can say that's it, I'm done. Uh,
Okay.
and then I'll do the business full time. So yeah, that's what I've been able to achieve so far with the business.
Yeah, so this business is actually amazing. It will create your dream life, provided that you put in your effort and your like learn to work for yourself rather than working for someone else. If you put the same effort to work for yourself, this business is going to definitely change your lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, people like you are like a great motivation, inspiration for all of us to to be more active in this business.
Yeah,
So thank you, Paulo. Thank you so much. And one last thing is like, what message would you give for the people? Like, the people are very much interested to change their lifestyle. They have a strong desire to change, but
yeah.
I think I don't know. Some people are might be scared, or some they might think it's a scam or skeptic. What message do you have for all those kind of people who wants to have a change in their life, but they are still, you know,
Not
thinking
sure.
about it? Yeah.
Yeah. So the scam part, I hope I answered that. Like,
Yes,
it's,
yes, yes.
ask your question, do the due diligence, follow your gut. Your gut is something that is always with you. It tells you not to walk in the dark alley at night. Like, it's that feeling. And so if something's pulling you towards this, and learn more about it, ask the mentor questions and so on. And then and hopefully this could be a business opportunity that fits you. And then also just ask yourself, if I don't make a change now, will my life change in the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year? And if your answer is no, then you need to start looking for something else. And over the last several years, I mean, what we experienced in the pandemic over last year, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this, where they lost their jobs, and they knew somebody that lost their jobs, regardless of how long they worked for somebody else.
Yeah,
So your seniority doesn't matter to companies. It's
yeah,
all about the bottom line for them. And so you need to put your best interests ahead of that, and put yourself financially ahead by being financially ahead and having other multiple streams of income.
yeah,
It's just the only way now. Like, you cannot rely on your single job to help you push through the next several years, because as we're all experiencing now, cost of living, everything's getting more expensive.
yeah,
I was just talking with one of my good friends who was hospitalized, and he was worried about, is he going to have enough money to pay for his cardiac medication pills that he has to take after discharge, or is he going to have enough, like he's going to balance out of either having enough for meds or feeding his kids. Like,
mm,
how it's tough to put yourself in that position. And we're here to help people avoid all of that.
yeah,
Because even during the pandemic, our community still grew, because people, you're doing so many things in the online space. You're banking, you're booking trips, you're buying clothes, you're doing everything on your phone. Why not learn about a program so that we can teach you to monetize using social media?
yeah,
um, and so you're already doing already. If you're posting stuff on social media, you're commenting, you're watching things on YouTube, we can teach you a bit of, like, if you can take at least 2 weeks of your time, we can teach you the basics and get you started right away. So I would say don't hesitate, because I've had coaching calls with people where hesitated, or they reached out to me and they're like, oh, I wish I would have started a year ago, 2 years ago, when I saw this. And now they're in a position now where they're like, my husband just lost their job, or my wife just lost her job, and like, I should have started this. So don't live in the life of like, I should have, or I wish I would have. If you're feeling that feeling now, start now. I know now might not be the right time. Never, like, there's never the right time to start things. There's
yes,
always some busy or doing things. But if you can reshuffle your time and take away Netflix, take away playing games, take away scrolling through social media, personally, just like watching people's feeds, take away like going to the movies or hang out with friends, and invest it a bit into this business, you will set yourself for life. That's
yes,
the thing, because we've seen it with people within our community where they've quit their 2, 3, 4 jobs that they're working, or their full-time jobs, or they're working evenings or nights, and they're missing out on their kids growing up, or they're balancing between their partners and who's gonna pick up their kids. Now they're spending time with the kids, they're watching their kids grow up. People are living or moving to other countries and working remotely and working
yeah,
as digital nomads, and taking their kids with them to experience
yeah,
other cultures. Like, the sky's the limit. Like, honestly, this opens up. Like, I remember, before I came across this business, that tunnel when you're just so deep into things, and you're like, is anything going to get better, in a way, because you're just living paycheck to paycheck and you don't see a light. Now that I've came across this business, there's this light at the end of the tunnel that I know is going to help help me have a better quality of life.
yes,
We only have so much time in this world, and I know it personally, in a way, because I've talked to hundreds of oncology patients who are like basically were only given months to years to for survival.
Yeah.
And conversations I had with them all related to time. I wish I had more time to travel. I wish I had more time to see my niece and nephews,
Yeah.
my grandkids grow, or my daughter get married. And so don't. I know a lot of us aren't at that stage, but I'm trying to pass down my experience so that people don't make the same mistakes
Yeah.
and wait. And if this isn't your, if this isn't type of business for you, there's other online stuff that are legit as well. But just do your research. Please do your research, ask the questions, and follow your guts.
Yeah.
And for us within our business community, we are an open book, but we just give the information in strategic phases, so that you don't are not overburdened by the information of
Yeah.
learning how this business is. Because I'm gonna I know I'm going over, but I just want to say one last thing. I relate it to my nursing career, because if I started nursing in my year one, if they vomited all the information that I would be learning in year three, in year two, three, four, in year one, I wouldn't have gotten into nursing. I would have been like, nope, I'm going to leave. I'm going to find another profession, because that's too much for me. So same thing with this business. We do it in bits and pieces because people's attention spans are so they're short. They're 8 seconds
Yeah.
now. So that's why we do bits and pieces. People are like, can you kind of explain this whole business? I'm like, I can't do that in 5, 10, 15 minutes. You have to watch an information webinar. And so please, 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 you guys, if you want to learn more about this business, watch the information webinar,
Yeah.
because that's where you're going to get the foundation of what this business system and the
Yeah.
program is about. And that way you're not asking me or Meleena random questions that you've got from other people who started online businesses or stuff online, and saying like, oh, is it this type of business, or are you doing this? Please just watch the information webinar first, and that way you can build your questions from that
Yeah.
information webinar, and then we'll be able to better provide you with the answers to your questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, don't wait, you guys. If this is something, if you're looking for change, if you want to improve your quality of life, you know, take that first step and watch the information webinar.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Paulo. Thank you. You've shared a lot of information for me as well as all my viewers. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone for watching us. And have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.